So, um,
Yes.
yes, so I was a brand new officer, and I'm going to leave units and complexes out of it. So I was a brand new officer, and it was one of my first days working by myself after my on the job training, and I was working with a male officer, and I was in the control room, and we were conducting showers. And to conduct showers, you have to kind of look up, make sure that the showers are empty. When they're empty, you open another door to a cell, let a guy go in there, take a shower, and then you just repeat the process until everybody's gotten a shower. So the officer I was working with was like, I have to run down to the yard office real quick. I'll be back. And he was like, just continue the showers. And I was like, all right, cool. So I had been watching him do them all day, and so I kind of figured I knew what I was talking about. And so I'm kind of watching the showers, and I glance up, and as I glance up at the shower, I see the shower door open, and an individual was standing there, and he was in his birthday suit, and he was, schmeggity on himself. And I was like, and I was like, did I just see that? And I'm like, no, I didn't see that. That only happens in movies, right? So, because the door closed right away, so I was like, okay, I didn't actually see that. So then I scanned this side over here, and I filled the showers, and I put guys back in their cells and all that other stuff. And maybe 5 minutes later, I saw some guys go in over on this side, so I was like, okay, let me see if there's enough showers open. And I look, and as I glance at the shower door, Bob's my uncle. There he is, fucking birthday suit and all, and he's schmeggity. And I'm like, oh my God, I did see that. Like, I didn't want to see that. And I'm 26 at the time. And it's not that I lived a sheltered life per se, but I had never, been schmeggity from across the room before. And I'm brand new at this job, and I'm brand new working in this area. I don't know who he is. I can't pull him out of a lineup, right? And so, anyways, I just stop opening doors and letting guys go take showers. And so, anyways, fast forward a little bit, and the male officer I was working with comes up, and I was like, hey, listen, there was a guy up in that shower up there, and well, he schmeggedied. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, are you sure? And I'm like, well, yeah. Like, it's, kind of an obvious thing when you see it, right? And so he's watching the door now, and then he sees the guy that came out, and we're going to call him Rocky. All right, we'll call him Rocky.
Okay.
And he sees the guy come out, and he goes, are you sure it was him? And I was like, well, yeah, like, I mean, it's not like we're doing a positive, like, drop your pants identification here, but yeah, nobody's gone in or out since. And he was like, okay. So he calls our sergeant, who, by the way, and the reason I was even thinking about this story is because that sergeant called me last week. No, earlier this week. Yeah, earlier this week. So I got to talk to him. So if you're watching, hi, you know who you are. And so calls the sergeant. He was like, hey, listen, I just got back up here, and Reefer tells me that this individual schmeggity, and what do you want me to do? And the sergeant says, wait until the whole pod is locked down, and then I want you to go up to his cell door, and as loud as you can, I want you to tell him why you are putting him in handcuffs and taking him to detention. Now, mind you, I'm a brand new.
Whoa.
Yes, I am a brand new officer at the time, so I do not understand the gravity of what he had just said, because we're talking higher custody level general population yard. And so, and it was a very political, very highly political yard. And so the officer was like, all right, cool. So the yard locks, or the building locks down. He goes up to the office, or to the cell, has me open the cell door from the control panel. And he was like, inmate Rocky, I need you to turn around and cuff up. And, inmate Rocky is like, why am I cuffing up? And he goes, because you were schmeggity to the female officer in the control room. And he said it very, very loud, just like the sergeant told him to. And he takes the inmate, and they disappear. He takes him back to the detention center, right? So fast forward, they pull all of his property out of his cell, and I inventoried his property. And the detention officers thought that was really funny that I was the one he did it to, and then they had me rolling up his stuff. So then they put all of it on one of those flatbed carts, those big metal flatbed carts. And the male officer I was working with, who is kind of lazy, tells me,
Shocker.
he goes, you need to take this down to the detention. And I was like, I don't even know where the detention unit is, right? And so he tells me how to get there. He's like, there's a gate. I'll tell them to be waiting for you at the gate. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, inmate Rocky is a white boy, as they call them. And again, highly political yard at the time. And so here I am, a brand new little officer, don't know anything. And I walk out with this guy's little cart, and that pod was turning out to chow at the time. And I get surrounded by all of these white guys. Surrounded completely, like there's no way for me to get away from them. I am surrounded. And they're all cussing me out. Do you know what the fuck you did? You're ruining his prison career. Why would you lie about him? And I'm like, I didn't lie. I don't know what to tell you. And they were like, yeah, you did. He would never. That's not the kind of guy he is. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. And I'm just like, with the little cart, I'm like, I just want to go do this, right? So I go and I take the property back to the detention. I come back up. Fast forward like 2 or 3 weeks. They had me working with that male officer in that pod for about 2 or 3 weeks. And they got to know me. The officer got to know me, and everybody decided that I was cool, right? And that I'm not some schmuckety schmuck that just makes things up, right? And so they actually all apologized to me, and they were like, now that we see the kind of person you are, like, we're really sorry about that. Our bad, And I'm like, yeah, thanks. Thanks for that. That was pretty scary back then, but that's cool. And so, anyways, fast forward, they let this guy out of detention, and he ends up doing the schmeggity to another female staff member like months later, right? They put him back in detention, and then he comes back out, and he once again schmeggity's a third female officer at the same unit, and they send him to detention. And apparently they had it with him by the time he came back out of detention from that one, because they went in on him, and he looked like just a mush. His head was probably 2 or 3 times bigger than it was supposed to be, and it was unrecognizable. I was like, I think I'm about to see my first dead guy. Like, it was insane. It was insane. I had never seen. I mean, when they say beaten to a bloody pulp, I know what that looks like, because that's the image I get now. Like, everything was lumpy and inflamed, and apparently the weeks after that he was in in the hospital, the officers that were sitting on him said that every time he took a bite of Jello or of pudding, they said you could see him mush it around in his mouth to make sure no teeth were in it before he swallowed. Apparently he survived. All right, we're not telling you about a death. That'll be another episode. He survived, but it was crazy. So Wild and I are driving back and forth between gosh, Safford and Florence, and all the way up to North Phoenix for this testing that we were doing on a new operating system for the database at the prison. And that's plenty of time for us to talk. And we're telling stories. And I'm telling her this story. And she goes, "Oh my God, I had a guy do something similar to me." And then she tells me her story, and I'm going to let you tell it right now.
So so I'm brand new. It's funny, I'm brand new, but this was, you were brand new. So it was 5 years prior to that.
Yeah, mine was in
Yeah,
'06.
mine was in '01.
Okay.
And I was a brand spanking new officer, and I was so, um, I had just left a cult recently, and I lived very protected, a very, very protected existence. And so going into the prison system was quite a shock. And I remember I was still on probation, and I'm doing my walks religiously, doing my walks, and I go past the cell, and uh, Mr. Mr. Rocky, who we found out was the same person that we did not know
Same,
was
same
same
person,
same
completely.
exact same person. He was spanking the monkey, and and I, I had no idea what to do. And we they talk to us being female in a male institution that's like kind of normal, but it's not, because there's respect issues and they need to keep it private. Boobity blobbity blah. And so I'm thinking, well, oh my God! I mean, he was going to town, and I didn't spend any time looking. I just whoop, and I'm panicking. Like, what do I do? What do I do? Oh my God, what do I do? I want to make a big deal out of it because they said that that's what they do. And oh my God, what do I do? So I thought, okay, well, maybe they're just doing what they said in Coda, and so then and next time I'll do something about it. So I go about a week or two later, doing my rounds religiously, doing my rounds, and all of a sudden, Rocky's spanking his monkey once again.
That damn
I'm
monkey.
like, yeah, I, and so I shortly after that, once again, I get the show. And I remember being shook. It was in the control room, and I was telling the female control room officer what had happened, and she downplayed it like a lot of people had downplayed it in Coda. And she's like, "Well, did he call your name? Did he look at you? Did he, these certain signs that they say that he's doing it, to, you know, assault you, whatever." And I said, "No, I didn't think so. I'd never seen it before. I didn't know." And so she downplayed it, and then so we go and we tell a sergeant. I don't think he was a sergeant yet. And he goes, "Oh no, you're going to lose your job. You're on probation and you didn't report this." And
Oh my
I'm
God.
sobbing because I thought that it was over. And I remember just losing my mind. And the lieutenant had to come in. He sat in the control room with me for 45 minutes to try to talk me off a ledge because I thought my career was over. I thought I wasn't going to be able to provide for my kids anymore. But it taught me some valuable lessons. And so I'm grateful for that, even though it was not comfortable. It taught me some super valuable lessons for my career. So, but anyway, yeah, interview with him, and he said that we like to watch him from the control room, and so that saved me because apparently he wasn't doing that to me when I was doing my walks. Apparently, I guess he did it from the control room, and I never saw it from the control room. So he got away with that, I guess, that behavior for 5 years because Joy's here to tell the story.
I just can't believe, first of all, I mean, we're going to leave complexes and units out of it because I do still work for this place and I would like to finish these 15 months because it's been ups and downs. So
Right.
we're going to leave complexes and units out of it. But what I will say is we're talking 5 years in between instances, and we are talking damn near complete opposite corners of the state, right?
Yeah.
Not literally, but definitely very, very far away from one another. And it's just, and then you factor in that her and I became such close friends, and that we're randomly telling this story on the road to do with yet other complexes, and it was just mind blowing. I was like, how do we randomly have this incident and the same individual in common? And I just, don't get me wrong, it's gross that it happened, but
It
absolutely,
taught us some serious lessons, though.
it
I
teaches you
think.
lessons. It does. It teaches you lessons, but also it's funny because, like, I like signs from the universe that everything needs to come together for a reason. And the fact that her and I have that disgusting yet shared experience with the same individual is like, yeah, we were meant to meet, and we were meant
Yeah.
to learn that about each other. And I like small world stories like that. Just I don't know, that stuff gets me every time. So I thought it was pretty cool. And I thought it was very worthy of being our first story.
It's so
There's
cool.
gonna be many more of these. I mean, not like that, but there's gonna be more prison stories. We've got plenty of them. And I do have one other instance of this of the schmeggities happening to me, but that's for another time. And so, any ideas you guys have, any stories you have that you want to tell, please hit us up in the comments. Please like, please subscribe. We're both
Yes.
trying to make this a thing, guys. So help us out. So until our next security check, we'll talk.